this data analysis project with me, Andy, data analyst. This is going to be a really interesting and cool data analyst project where we're going to be taking the first 3 weeks of the fantasy football data that I've actually drawn together on Kaggle. We're going to be taking that data, we're going to be analysing it, and we're going to be drawing some conclusions to be suggesting to our client some substitutions or transfers that he can make in the international break window after the 3rd game week. So there's a scenario that I'm going to be running you through with a little bit more information about what this project involves exactly and what you're being asked to create from it. Feel free to follow along. We're going to be using 3 tools initially. So we're going to be using spreadsheets. I'm going to be using Google Sheets. We're going to be using R and RStudio. That's with Posit Cloud. And thirdly, we're going to be using Tableau. And we're going to be using the free web version of Tableau. We're going to be using Tableau to draw some interactive dashboards up, showing different metrics and different ways of looking at the data. We're going to be using R to clean the data, to analyze it, and to throw up some cool visuals in there as well. And we'll use spreadsheets to draw up some pivot tables and have a quick look at the data from there. So this video is going to be in 4 parts. Part 1 is a little bit of introduction to the data, the scenario, and how to download the data from Kaggle. Then we're going to jump into Excel and start with spreadsheets and start making some pivot tables, just have a quick look at the data to show you what you can do in a spreadsheet. Part 3, we're going to be jumping into R, doing some analysis and some visuals. And part 4 will be Tableau and the final presentation with my insights at the end. A little bit about myself. I am currently training to be a data analyst. I've done the Google certificate in data analytics from Coursera, a really popular course. At the end of it, we look at portfolios and portfolio projects, which is where I'm at now. I've just finished the course. I'm now starting to run my own projects, choosing things that interest me. So that's why I've decided to do this project in fantasy football. I'm a keen player myself. Any insights that can help me become better at the game, great as well. And it's something really cool that I can throw into my portfolio as a little bit of a fun side project. If you do enjoy the video, please leave a like, a comment. Subscribing to the channel would be really super useful for me, as there's going to be lots of more data analytic projects coming up in the future. So yeah, keen to get into this one. Let's get started. Okay, so first things first, we'll take a look at the actual scenario. So this is just the document that has the scenario on it. So to imagine you're working as a freelance data analyst and are approached by a client who wants you to carry out some data analysis on the Premier League. He is a keen fantasy Premier League, or FPL as it's known, enthusiast player and wants to use data-driven insights in order to make the best transfer possible during the international break. That's between game week 3 and 4. So far, he hasn't done very well and he wants to make some changes to his team. He's got limited funds available and would so like you to focus on the best players for the least cost. That's the focus view will be the best players for the least cost. He doesn't mind which position he makes for transfer. It could be goalie, defender, midfielder or striker. He just wants some insights into which transfers would be the best to make. He'd like you to share with him a presentation/report, so you can choose either, that describes the analysis you've done, as well as a compelling or multiple compelling visuals that actually tell the story. He's interested in why and how you have drawn the conclusions that you have. So what is your role in this scenario? So just to clarify, your role is to analyse the first 3 weeks of FPL data. I'm going to show you where you can download that from in just a moment, and draw compelling conclusions/insights to suggest a transfer in each position. You need to deliver a short presentation/report that outlines the steps you took in your analysis, as well as visuals that display the insights that you have drawn. At the end of it, he would like you to list your top tip transfer in each position based on the data. This is very important. Your insight should be based on the data that you've analysed, not your own personal opinions or bias that you may have. So for example, if you were to analyse the data and it said that the best player was a Chelsea striker, but you don't like Chelsea, or you don't believe that striker is going to carry on doing well in the season, that's not what he's asking you to do. He's asking you to just crunch the data and to make insights based on the first 3 weeks of data. So even if you don't believe that player is going to go on and play very well, that's your own personal bias coming in. We want to steer clear of that, and we're just going to give data-driven insights. So what are the 3 deliverables here? So deliverable, what is it you're going to be delivering? Number 1 is a PowerPoint or a presentation displaying the steps you took in your analysis. Visuals that display the best players and most valuable players that can be picked, and a list of your top 4 recommendations and transfer for each position. We can actually do all 3 of those deliverables on one presentation or one report. However you want to tackle that is absolutely up to you. I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do is to actually download the data set. So we're going to go over there to Kaggle. Use the link in the description to access Kaggle, and you're going to go onto the link provided. It will take you to my project page. So Fantasy Premier League data for 2025-2026 season for Fantasy Premier League players. Here's the data set. So you can access the data set from this website. I made this data set myself. I explain what the data set's about. I've used public domain data from fantasypremierleague.com. It's open to the public. It's all updated every week with price drops and price rises. Click on the link there and you can access Fantasy Premier League. That's my team on the screen there. And this just shows where I got the data from. So looking at every single player, you can actually go ahead and check cross-references with the data to make sure it's all correct, which of course it is. You can also see the about the data set there. It'll be kept updated every week throughout the season. Scrolling down, we'll check out, this is where you actually download the files on the right of the Data Explorer. So you've got the Fantasy Premier League, their Game Week 1 CSV, Game Week 2 CSV, and Game Week 3 CSV. So every week there'll be a new data set uploaded here. So there'll be one data set per week. The reason for that is it keeps it cleaner. It's the easiest thing to do. So by the end of the season, there'll be 38 uploads here because there's 38 game weeks in a season. You'll also see that every single one has a different about this file description. So the data sets people that play FPL. Each game week has its own data set, so you can see who the best players were in terms of points scored and PPM, points per million, that is, for each game week and overall. A new data set will be added at the end of each game week so you can update your analysis. Each week I also update player price changes, rises and falls. These are tracked weekly. And also player signings and departures, especially there for the first 3 weeks whilst we have the international window. So what we're going to do now is take a look at the data. So how do you actually extract this data to use? You can also see there that each column in the data set is explained. So we have surname, player surname, or commonly known as. There is the team as well. Obviously that is which team the player plays for. You can see there that it's just Arsenal, Chelsea, Leeds. It isn't sort of Arsenal FC, Chelsea FC, or Manchester City FC. I've just done it as Arsenal, Chelsea, Leeds, Manchester City, Manchester United. It's good to check those out to make sure you're familiar with how each team is formatted. We have position, so that's defence, goalkeeper or GK, mid for midfielder, ATK for attack. Cost is in millions, so if you're seeing 4, that means 4 million. Now you'll see me just expand it here to bring open all of the columns in one view. Just a little bit about PPM, price per million. That's a metric calculated by game week points scored divided by player cost. So if a player scored 4 points and they cost 5 million, we do 4 divided by 5, and that will tell you their price per million, which is a metric used to calculate player value. So for example, if a player that scores loads of points but costs way more money will have a lower PPM than a player that may have scored slightly less amount of points but at a way less expensive price. So the idea is you want the most amount of value. We then have season points, and that's accumulation of points across the season, differing from just points. We will notice that game week 1 has the same points as season points. That's obviously because season points is going to be the same as points scored in game week 1 because there's only one game week that's gone by. And then the last thing is season PPM. which is the accumulation of season PPM. So that's a player's points so far, or season points, divided by the player's up-to-date cost. That shows a PPM, or price per million, for the season so far, not just for that one isolated game week. Again, season PPM will be the same as PPM for game week 1, because there's only 1 week of data to go by. So that is a little bit about the columns in the data set. So I should now be showing you how to actually download these, start using them. Press the download button, download a zip, press allow. I mean, you're going to see me on my Mac. Just open up that folder. There you have the 3 CSV files. Now, it's worth mentioning that if you're watching this past game week 3, there may be, I'm going to upload game weeks, the next game week of data. So you may see 4, 5, 6, 7, depending when you're watching this. Feel free to download all 7 if you want to, or however many there are. We're just going to be going for the first 3 game weeks in this project, because so far only 3 game weeks have gone by. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up that CSV, just check it's all there, ready to go. And it looks like it does on screen here. Now that data is ready to go, and you are now ready for the next part, where we're going to actually be just showing you what we can do with this data in Excel or in a spreadsheet file before we even look at R or Tableau. We're just going to be showing you some neat, cool tricks you can actually use whilst looking at that data in a spreadsheet.